Welcome to Denmark Visa Process, a series where we walk through the real, official steps for entering and living in Denmark, sourced directly from the Danish Immigration Service's own portal, newtodenmark.dk. No guesswork, no outdated forum advice. Just the actual current process. We start with the one most people need first, the short-stay visa for private visits and tourism. Chapter 1: Who actually needs this visa? If you are a citizen of the European Union, the European Economic Area, Switzerland, or one of the Nordic countries, you do not need this visa. Special entry rules already apply to you. This visa is for everyone else, citizens of countries with a visa requirement who want to visit Denmark for up to 90 days, either for tourism or to see family and friends. Here is the detail most people miss. A Danish short-stay visa is not a Denmark-only visa. It is a Schengen visa, which means it normally grants you the right to move throughout the entire Schengen area, not just Denmark, for the duration of your stay. The specific rule is 90 days within any 180-day period. That is a rolling window, not a fixed calendar allowance, and it is worth understanding precisely if you plan to travel in and out of the Schengen area more than once. If you want to stay longer than 90 days, this visa is not the answer. If, for example, you are marrying or already married to someone living in Denmark, the correct path is family reunification, a completely different application, which we will cover in a future part of this series. Chapter 2: The 5-step process. According to the Danish Immigration Service, the process breaks down into 5 concrete steps. Step 1: If you are visiting for a private visit, your host in Denmark should fill in an invitation. The Immigration Service recommends this, either as a paper form or the online version, though it is not a strict legal requirement for every case. If you are instead applying through a foreign diplomatic mission that has a representation agreement with Denmark, be aware that the online invitation form can only be used in a limited way, and your host may need to download, print, sign, and physically send you the invitation. Step 2: Gather your documentation, before you begin, not after. We will cover exactly what you need in the next chapter, because this is where most applications run into trouble. Step 3: Submit your application in person. This is not optional and not remote. You must physically appear at the appropriate location, generally in your country of legal residence, though there are exceptions if you are legally present elsewhere with a valid reason. If you plan to visit multiple Schengen countries on the same trip, there is a specific rule for where you apply. You submit at the diplomatic mission of whichever country you will spend the most days in, or wherever the main purpose of your trip is. If Denmark is your main destination or where you will spend the most time, you apply through the nearest Danish mission or outsourcing office. Step 4: Pay the fee. As of the current published rate, the standard visa fee is €90. For children from age 6 up to age 12, the fee is €45. On top of that, most applicants also pay a separate service fee to the outsourcing company handling the application on the ground, commonly called a VAC, or Visa Application Center. That service fee varies by country and is separate from the €90 government fee. Step 5: Have your biometric features recorded. In almost all cases, this means your fingerprints are taken as part of the application process. This typically happens at the same appointment where you submit your documents. Chapter 3: The documents that actually matter. This is the chapter worth pausing and re-watching if you are actually applying, because the Danish Immigration Service is specific about each item. First, your invitation, if you have one, either the printed version or the invitation ID if your host submitted it online. Second, travel insurance. This is not optional and it has a hard minimum. Your insurance must cover the entire Schengen area, must be valid for the full expected duration of your stay, and must provide a minimum coverage of €30,000. Travel insurance below that threshold will not satisfy the requirement. Third, your passport or another valid travel document, and the specifications here are exact. It must remain valid for at least 3 months beyond your planned departure date from the Schengen area. It must have been issued within the past 10 years, not older. And it must contain at least 2 blank pages for stamps and visa stickers. A passport that is technically valid but fails any one of these 3 conditions can still get your application rejected. Fourth, a passport photo, and again, the Danish authorities specify exact measurements, 35 mm by 45 mm, with the distance from your chin to the top of your head measuring between 30 and 36 mm. The photo must closely resemble your current appearance, and you must be facing the camera directly. Fifth, supporting documentation for your specific trip, proof of accommodation in Denmark, proof that you have sufficient funds to cover your stay and your return journey home, and information establishing the actual reason for your visit. Immigration authorities are specifically evaluating whether you intend to leave the Schengen area before your visa expires, so documentation that supports a genuine, temporary visit matters. One more practical note directly from the Immigration Service: do not purchase a plane ticket before your visa is approved. There are exceptions where local agreements between Schengen representations require proof of a booked flight, so check the specific requirements of the mission where you are applying, but as a general rule, buying a non-refundable ticket before approval is a risk the Immigration Service itself advises against. Chapter 4: What the visa actually gives you, and what happens if you overstay. Once approved, your visa entitles you to travel within the Schengen area for the validity period and number of entries determined by the visa authorities, based on your travel information and a set of fixed criteria specific to your application. This is not automatically the maximum 90 days. It is assessed case by case. And here is the detail that matters most: if you are planning your trip, overstaying carries a real, specific consequence. If you remain in Denmark after your visa expires, or if you attempt to use a short-stay visa as a backdoor route to long-term or permanent residency, the Danish Immigration Service can impose a penalty period of 3 or 5 years. During that penalty period, you will generally be unable to obtain another visa to visit Denmark at all. This is not a minor administrative slap. It is a multi-year travel ban from the country, and it is enforced specifically against people who misuse the short-stay visa category. That is the complete, current process for Denmark's short-stay visa for tourist and private visits, sourced directly from the Danish Immigration Service. In part 2 of this series, we move to a different category entirely: what it actually takes to get a work permit and residence permit to work in Denmark. Subscribe, and we will see you there.